Morning, everybody. It's 8:11 a.m. October 22nd. Welcome to my channel. Now, this market's in a little bit of a balance area. You can see yesterday, I said it in my Discord. I said we're probably range bound today. Now, the internals, we'll go over them in a little bit. I wouldn't say that they were unbelievably strong, but they were decent. However, the overall market, meaning like the NYSE, the exchange level, the Nasdaq and the NYSE exchange level, wasn't that strong. It wasn't weak, but it wasn't strong. And Trump started talking about he might not meet with Xi from China. That took out the wind out of the sails of the market, and the market tried to rip back up, and then it just died. Now, earnings season's really starting to kick off with Netflix. They missed their EPS by a pretty big margin, and it was because of this Brazilian tax. So that has Netflix down over 7% this morning. Okay. Now Netflix isn't the heaviest market cap weighted stock, so it's not going to move the market like a Nvidia would, or Apple, or Microsoft. Okay. Now today after the close, we have Tesla's reporting. Now Tesla is expected to have a surge because EV tax credits are going away. So I don't know how the market might look at that. Like, if they have good earnings, it's because of that, and then you sell it. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, but there's a lot of stuff going on. Now gold. Oh man, if you watch my stream yesterday, I was saying, "Ooh, I'm getting alerts about gold, shorting gold." And boy, did that. But if I played a short net yesterday, man, that would have been nice, right? But I was like looking for a retest of my level, and that sure had finally some kind of selling. Okay. What else I'm noticing, right? Bitcoin. Bitcoin, it might have been a little bit of a bull trap yesterday because now Bitcoin is back down like almost 4%. Ethereum down 4%. We'll look at futures today at some of those products. Okay. And what I'm noticing too is certain other stocks that have been really high flyers like Oklo, APLD, like IREN, have been getting sold. Those are the momentum stocks. Now, they don't move markets, but I'm just noticing they're starting to get a little weaker. ASTS is down today. Okay. Now, actually, APLD is actually up pretty nicely, the pre-market today. Halliburton has been on my list to watch. They had good earnings. Okay, so we just have to see. Now, Merck is something I'm looking at, but they're reporting earnings on the 30th. Merck has a very nice chart. I mean, I might even still do a stock long before earnings. Um, we'll have to see. Now, in crude, I put my position on a little too early yesterday, and it shook me out. So I had a bull call spread in crude, and now crude, I'd be in the money right now with that spread. Now, when crude lost 57 yesterday, and Trump said something about purchasing, or something he said about buying, something like that. The crude really tanked after it was moving up. Now, India, he's saying that he's looking to get India to buy less Russian crude, and it's pushing crude up. So see, like, you can't, these news things with crude, you just can't, you can't plan for them. So I mismanaged that trade, not in the when I took it off, what I entered. Where I entered was not smart. Where I entered was not smart, and so I cut it, and now my spread would have been in the money, but I play defense. Okay, so I could have shorted gold, didn't. Crude, I had a long, and now it would have been paying me. But that's trading, right? That's just how it works. And on top of that, yesterday in futures, I got the ES, long the ES, right? So I'll just show you that real quick. And this is again just trading. So right here in trades, look at that entry in the ES. When I'm showing you the screenshot, I'm already up 5 points, right? And I'm like, this should really move, right? However, that's 60, 67, 63.50, which was my entry. And actually, I wanted 62, but I didn't trust the market. So I was like, you know what? I saw something in Bookmap right there, right? I'm up 5 points. I only have a 4 point risk on it. And I think it flew up a little more. And I was like, you know what? I don't trust this market right now. And I was like, let me go to break even when I was up. And I was like, you know what? I'll reassess it. What do you know? That friggin' thing came back, and there's my break even, right? 63.50. It came back, and that was to the tick the low of a 5 minute candle. How annoying is that? You know, that is very annoying. Very annoying. Because then it hit my target. See my target up here? It smacked right into it shortly after. And I was left there just going, really? Really? Because the market was wacky a little bit at that time. And I was like, you know what? I'm not, I don't want to be up that much on a 4 point risk and then it smack back and it just, I could have waited. You know, those are those little moments that that's trading. I mean, it stunk because later on I was almost going to put a limit order at 62, what I saw on Bookmap, but I wanted to wait because I didn't trust the market fully. I didn't trust the market fully. All right. Let me just show you. Where is it? That doesn't matter. Trust me, that was the low of that candle. Was the 63.50. That just stunk. Really stunk. I'm trying to look at it on my chart here. Yeah, that I'm just looking at it on my chart real quick. That literally was the low. That stunk. Anyway, that's trading, right? So those are three things. The gold short wasn't in it. Crude long was in it. Now it's paying me, but I got out. And my break even trade that hit my target. And it literally just tapped my entry. And I was just like, oh my God, really? So that's trading, folks. Fun, right? Now, let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile, volume profile to find structure in the markets along gamma exposure levels, supply and demand, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is how I come up with game plans, okay? That is my edge. Also use Anchor VWAPs, lets me know who's in control. Market internals, when the market opens, lets me know what the market's capable of, what's going on under the hood of the market. That's why yesterday I didn't see a big move higher. Okay? I just didn't see it. Now, I also use Bookmap to help me execute, and I use the weekly expected move indicator. Now, Apple has hit the expected move on Monday this week. On Monday. And you could see it's kind of flat now. So I don't expect much unless something comes out about Apple. But as far as the options market, it already exceeded its expected move for the week. Remember, shouldn't have much room to the upside from to the rest of the week. Okay? Can it do it? Yes. But the odds are against it, right? Now, hopefully, you guys join me every morning, give you the market story, what's going on with the markets. Okay? I'll give you the latest news, right? And I just try to give you technical analysis and hopefully take advantage of listening to me. Like, listen to me like a morning podcast. Enjoy your morning coffee. Okay. And then I give you long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and ES futures later on. I really think it's beneficial to listen to myself if you don't even know what's going on, because I'm going to just give you why the market's doing what it's doing. What do I think the market's going to do in probabilities, not predictions? Okay. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Okay. Go to the my YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Okay. What do you get? What do you get? Right? Well, you get live market updates, right? Like yesterday. Look what I wrote yesterday at 11:41. Everyone, ticks are mixed. Internals are over zero. XLY leading with Amazon. SMH still weak off the open. Overall market is not that strong. Range bound day until it isn't. NQ under the VPOC of the rolling week. 25320 needs to take this out. That was at 11:41. Market never really could find acceptance over that 25320 in the Nasdaq, and we just stayed in balance. Okay, and we're making a balanced area now in futures. Okay. Also, you got my trades, which I just showed you, which just hurts to even look at that. I'm not gonna lie. All right, I've been putting a lot of options trades on. Took off one of my iron condors yesterday in Broadcom, but of course, Broadcom is stronger today, so that probably would have still been good. But I play defense, right? I didn't even take a loss. It's like flat. All right. Let's see my General Mills. I'm still liking that daily chart in General Mills. I'm still long there. And trade cap. Trade recaps here. Still owe you guys those videos. I've just been busy with some other personal stuff, so I haven't been able to really work on those. There's my weekend. Every weekend I give my plays. And the weekly expected move indicators here, folks. So put it on your Thinkorswim desktop, and then you can add it to your phone on the app. All right. So without further ado, why don't we get right into the futures watch list here? And of course, at the top of the list, which hurts again, is crude, which almost long yesterday. Spread would have been in the money, but that's in the past now. All right, so crude is up with that India. See again, you can't plan for Trump talking to India to use less Russian crude. So that's what's going on there. All right, so that's your crude. The VIX is up 0.22. That's really not moving much. 30-year bonds are being bought. Dollar, watch for that dollar strength. Watch for the dollar strength. The dollar strength with the gold going down. Okay. ES flat. Dow is flat. Nasdaq is down 0.16. 10-year yield under 4 at 3.9 yield. Russell down 0.41. Silver down 0.73. Look at gold. Down over 1.5%. Is this a pullback buy? Or are we going to get a nasty pullback farther in gold? Don't know. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's down 3.41. I believe that was a little bit of a bull trap yesterday. Ethereum down 3.89. All right, we'll get into some of those future charts in a little bit. All right, let's look at Google. Google's like just had some partnership with Anthropic. They're up 2.24%. Broadcom's up 1.09. That's the only leaders with Microsoft, and the rest is laggards. Now, if we get over to the one percenters, Amazon down 1.18. They had a nice move yesterday, even though with all their outages the previous day. Coinbase, the Bitcoin proxy, basically down 1.77. Netflix, that's the laggard here with their earnings miss, down 7.44% pre-market. Okay. Top sectors. GE Vernova is a lovely stock that I own, up 3.77%, up to 608. That thing's a monster. Now, Exxon getting love, Chevron getting love. Not a surprise there. Laggard here, You have Palantir down 0.55, and look who's the laggard again. Just tie it up with gold. Okay. NEM, it's a minor, down 4.5%. Still tanking, right? Still tanking. Remember, there was a lot of longs in gold. It was way overdone. Way overdone. Okay, let's look at some granular lists here. Woo! ISRG, Intuitive Surgical, must have had monster earnings. They're up 18%, boy. Wow. 18% in the stock's $462 stock. Now it's 546. Amazing. Vertiv, I own Vertiv. And boy, the minute when I trimmed some of that position, I was like, all right, in the 150s, I was like, we might be getting a pullback. Boy, oh boy. It's up 7.29% for the data build outs, right? They're up 7.29%. It's up at 188. 188. Financial, I believe that's Capital One. I could be wrong. I think that's Capital One up 4.35. DraftKings up 3.15. Warner Brothers up 2.71, and Boston Scientific up 2.50. I believe they reported earnings. Hilton up 2.31. Now let's look at some laggards. Let's look at some laggards, folks. Let's look at some laggards. We do have a laggard. Texas Instruments reported earnings. They missed. They're down 7.65. Gold Junior Miners down 3.91. That's not a surprise. Marvel Semi down 3.82. Oklo has been one of those parabolic stocks are pulling back. This is what I was talking about. One of those stocks, Oklo, down 3.40. There's your Bitcoin ETF down 3.32. MicroStrategy, another Bitcoin proxy. Okay. Now, oops. Well, here's other stocks I look at, right? ASTS, this EOS, ONDS. These are all high flyers, folks. IREN, these are all high. Rigetti, all high flyers I've noticed have been taking a dip, even with the uranium ETFs and stuff like that. So, very interesting to watch that because they were high flying. Moving on. Sectors. Energy. Energy. Geez, this is almost long yesterday, boy. Just keeps hurting. Salt in the wounds. Energy up 0.52. Healthcare up 0.50. Financials up 0.09. And the laggards, you have discretionary, basic materials, that's your NEM. Semiconductors is your laggard. Semiconductors is your laggard. Now we're in a balance area. So I could very well see semiconductors rip at the open. That would not surprise me. Okay? That would not surprise me at all. At all. Now, moving on to economic calendar, which with this government shutdown, we're not getting a lot of numbers here. Let's just look at it, folks. All right. So, 30-year mortgage went down 6.37. We have EIA crude inventories today at 10:30. That's about it there. Now, earnings, we'll go to earnings. So, we're looking at calendars. Here we go. So, we had Netflix, Intuitive Surgical, Texas Instruments, Capital One, Mattel, all report, Omnicom Group, all report after the close yesterday. This morning, we had GE Vernova, Vertiv, Boston Scientific, Hilton, AT&T, Thermo Fisher. Now, after the close, Tesla, woof, IBM, Kinder Morgan, SAP, Alcoa, Lam Research. Okay, some pretty nice looking stocks there. Before the open tomorrow, American Airlines, Freeport McMoran. Okay, copper and gold. Honeywell, Dow, Hasbro, Nokia, Southwest, AutoNation, and T-Mobile. Tomorrow is Intel, Ford. Okay. So earnings are here, folks. Earnings are here. Now, let's see if this has a nice little summary for us here with stocks moving. Hasn't been doing that. Hasn't really been doing that for me. Oh, there you go. Applied Digital stock surges on 5 billion AI factory lease deal. That's why that's up. All right. Well, we'll move on to here. Boom. That's not boom. This is boom. All right. Netflix shares drop as Brazilian tax dispute hits earnings. Talked about that. Tesla set for strong quarter fueled by rush to get expiring U.S. EV tax credits. AT&T top subscribers estimates as bundled plans. iPhone promotion lifts sales. Um, I don't know why that says that. It says shares of Texas Instruments sank in pre-market trading after the chip makers down beat fourth quarter profit. Hilton cuts 2025 room revenue forecast on subdued U.S. travel demand. Okay. Alphabet and Qualcomm. Samsung Electronics releases Galaxy XR extended reality headset, counting on AI features from Google to propel it into the nascent and uncertain market of computing on your face that is dominated by Meta and Apple. Okay. What's else here? Already one of GE Vernova posted third quarter profit helped by strong performance in its power and electrification equipment units. Power consumption in the U.S. is expected to hit record highs in 2025-2026. All right. Looks like Six Flags is looking to get Travis Kelce to help push Six Flags Entertainment. And 3M, Jeffrey raises target price to 180 from 160. Dell, Piper Sandler initiates coverage with an overweight rating and a target price of 172. And say Netflix, JP Morgan cuts target price to 1275 from 1300, citing a slighter weaker fourth quarter outlook due to on pressure from the Brazil tax. All right. All right. I think we're done there. Let's look if there's any updates here to upgrades. Upgrades, Hyatt Hotels, Halliburton. Downgrades. Nothing there. Nothing really there that makes me say anything. Okay. Let's look at the little breadth chart here. Oh, look at that. The breadth of this percentage of stocks over their 20-day simple moving average has moved back up to 60%. Still, I feel middling. Okay. This is all middling, folks. All right. I think we're done here. I think we are. All right. Now, before we get into anything, we're going to look at some futures charts. Like I said, Bitcoin, gold. Let's look at those together. And just show you what I'm seeing in these charts. Okay. The first thing we're going to look at is Bitcoin. Alrighty. Let's look at Bitcoin together. So this is a daily chart of Bitcoin. All right. Now, the anchored VWAP for this year. Let's see. Is that right? Why doesn't that look right? Oh, it is. It is right. Right there. So the anchored VWAP for the year is right here. It lines up with the 200-day moving average. Let's zoom in a little bit. There's the anchored VWAP for this year. We came down and look, touched the 200-day moving average right to the penny. Pushed up. But see, look what happened. You came right into this 100-day moving average. All right. Got a wick. And had an indecisive candle the day before. Yes, I think that's yesterday. Yeah, that's yesterday. Look at that. Big doji candle, kinda. And then look. There's some selling happening. And look at this low here. That daily low right there on the 107s. Took that out. And you're getting some buying. But I think this stock, look, most traded price of the rolling year in Bitcoin is 96,000. The most traded price over the last 3 months is 117. We're under the 117. Okay. And you have a very key support level right in here. Around the 100, 630. But that's underneath this. So what I think, we could get a retest of here. And that's going to be the real key, that 102,350. Right at the anchor view up 200-day moving average. I think now, if we're moving on here, this is what, a weekly, right? But what I really want to show you, that's a monthly. Look at that. We took out 3 months right here with this candle. And let's go to a little more granular. Look at this. Now this is like basically over a month. Okay. This right here, this is pretty cool with equivolume bars. See how this volume stands out, and this is the widest bar? It shows you the most volume of any chart. It's relative. Look at that buying volume just get took right out. Boom. That's taken out. That strength was taken out. Okay. So very interesting what's going to happen in Bitcoin. All right. Let's move on to gold. And what I was talking about yesterday. This was the alert. This level right here, the 42299, that's the alert I was getting in the live stream yesterday. Now look, we've hit the 20-day simple moving average. Haven't hit that since August 26th. So people might be buying here. We just have to see. Okay? This has been parabolic. You finally got, now look at that volume. Woof. Right? So let's look at that. There's your weeklies. Look, almost a double top on weeklies, and you came right down to last week's lows pretty much. All right? That's your monthlies. Look at that wick. Now, let's get into this chart for the last month. Same thing. Equivolume bars, right? Biggest volume of selling was right here from my level here. That's the alert I had, right? You can see the arrow. That's the alert. Almost like getting an alert on the stream, and then boom, big volume, right? This is the anchored VWAP for the month. We're underneath the anchored VWAP for October. So for the beginning of October, buyers are underwater here. Okay, that's last week's lows right here. Right there. Okay, the most traded price of the month, believe it or not, is 3893. 3893. Now the psychological number is 4,000. I believe that this gets taken out, we're going to see this prices down here. Okay, we're going to see the prices. So really want to see what we do here in gold. Okay, in gold. One more chart. We'll do Ethereum. Let's look at Ethereum together. Look at that most traded price of the last 3 months, right up there around 4,480. Okay. And now look, we're playing in this area. That this is not a chart that I really have any faith in. Okay. Let's look at weeklies. It's just, this is kind of messy. Okay, the Ethereum chart. There's monthlies. So you took out the previous month's lows. And here's the chart of this month. And you can see the most traded price of the month is around 3,390. We're underneath that now. But I don't see any edge for me here in this chart. This doesn't look like this is the biggest selling volume here. You can see right here. That's what's cool about the equivolume bars. Okay. Yeah, that's futures. That is futures, folks. All right, we're going to go on, move on to daily charts and our SPY. All right, let's go to that now. All right. So yesterday we had a doji candle. Now we're out of this little area. We still have not touched the highs of that Friday candle. I know some large orders coming and hitting the tape. So that was an indecisive candle. Look, we pretty much came down to, this is why I got long too yesterday in that day trade. We tapped last week's highs. Okay, but then just was an indecisive candle. But there's a lot of earnings coming down the pipe, so. All right, so indecisive, but where are we now? There's just a lot of craziness going on in the markets. I don't know if there was a news that just came out. Where are we now? 671.74, 671.74, right here. Just not a good location. Okay, futures will give you a better look of what we were doing. Look, this is just one day, right? Let's check out futures. Futures is definitely going to give us a better look of balance. See that? A doji and a doji. This is indecisive. Okay? Indecisive. This market just came up to this candle. Still, we couldn't resolve this candle yet. It does look momentum is up to the bull side. We're holding above last week's highs. Okay, anything below this would spell uh-oh. All right, but as long as we stay here, this is bullish structure. Okay, this is bullish structure. So now we have a little balance, 2-day balance area happening here. So you have the inside day now of this session. So that the edges are really key. And honestly, I think we have CPI this week on Friday. We could do this all week until CPI. With all these earnings coming out, right? So keep an eye on that. Let's go to your Qs. So the Qs also had a doji. Didn't even come down to the previous. Now, the NASDAQ showed relative weakness from the open. And another reason that I got long yesterday was here when the NASDAQ came into these single prints and just dipped their toe in it. That is bullish. All right, remember, single prints, you get support, it's bullish. That's another reason why I put the trade on. And again, I wasn't like 100% understand my, even though I'm showing you reasons I got long, right? When I got long, I wasn't, the reason I went to break even with like up 5, 6 points, whatever it was, is because I was convicted, but I wasn't like, this is my play. And again, I save myself a lot of money. Sometimes when I do that, sometimes you miss out, right? I don't like to play with my trades a lot, but in this case, it wasn't like I saw something where I was like, oh, this is amazing. It was like, we should go up, but the price action wasn't the best, right? So that's why I went to break even, and of course, it hit my entry. So, you know the story. So I hope I had this daily chart on before, and I don't think I did. But it just shows you, I don't know even who's watching right now because someone could have told me. And that's okay. Look at your Qs. Indecisive, right? Where are we now? 610.75, 610.75. Right in the middle of yesterday's range. Not a great location. All right, now look at futures. It's just a whole lot of nothing, folks. That doesn't really tell us much. We're holding last week's highs. This doesn't really tell us a whole bunch. Okay? What we need to look at now is that triple-headed monster now. We will start with the 10-year yield here. And that's looking a little weak. Okay? It's finally doing something here. Finally yields. Look, you can see this trend line. Let's just put this trend line on here. Trend line from here. And a trend line from right there. So we're in a downtrend, right? We just have to see where we go here. Okay? Finally getting a declining 50-day moving average. A declining 100-day. Starting to decline on a 200-day. So, I mean, there is a swing low all the way down here at 3.84 yield. We'll also have to see what happens, okay? Let's look at that dollar. And the dollar, can this be a push up, which could cause further weakness in gold and silver? We have to see. Okay, the VIX, that VIX, that is quite the VIX crush there. Woof. Last Friday. And then we just been pushing down, and now we're at like what are we at? It's almost an 18 VIX. All right. Now, there's not much to show you in internals at all yesterday. Hourly charts, honestly, don't really show us much but balance. All right. I think I'm just gonna move right on. Two scenarios here. I don't think that offers me much edge to talk about the hourly chart that just looks like balance. Okay, so we're gonna move on. We'll go right to that market profile, volume profile. We'll see the same thing there. Okay, let's just go right into this balance area. Look at that balance, right? This market's coiling again. It's coiling again. Okay, and this is your market profile, volume profile analysis. I probably did that already, but let's look at this. Okay, this rolling profile really is what showing you here is the balance. That is the move up that we made on Monday. Eventually, that will get cut off because this is a rolling profile. But this is really what it's about now. You pushed up and you're holding. It's bullish. Okay, so all it's about is this area 670, 67.89s. We have a poor high in the overnights that's begging to be broken. We do have a supply zone here. That is your playground. To the downside, we have that high volume node of 65, 67, 66. Okay. So we're going to put here last week's highs, the 67, 66s, and yesterday's lows. This is it, folks. Now we're in ultimate balance. Okay. Let's just say 70, 67, 75s, let's just call it, is ultimate balance now. It's the most traded price of the last month and the last week. So you don't want to be involved inside here. It's really a garbage. You want to test the edges. Okay? You're inside the midpoint of pretty much this market, right? So look, you have this session, this session, this session. So 3 sessions that have been moving sideways. It's all about the edges. Okay? It's all about those edges. And let's talk about it. This is going to be pretty easy and pretty quick. So here's your scenarios. Let's get right into it. Now, bulls are in control, so we'll start with them. And let's break out this session real quick. Okay. So, what are you looking for here? We're in the middle of chop chop, right? All I'm looking for is a test. Down into this demand zone, the 66s, all the way down into the 59s. Even we nip these single prints. Any support here is bullish because now you're at the balance area lows, right? Shorts from up here will most likely take profits if we stay in balance. So any kind of this, that's a long, back to the mean. This is the 67.75s, and then try to go to the other side of balance. Now, the gravy on top, of course, is if we broke out. I don't know if we're ready for a breakout yet because you never know. Okay. The other thing in which, in this current environment, this depending on the market internals, right? If they're kind of neutral, we'll probably get something like this, and then there's so much supply up here. I don't trust it. You could get a pullback and maybe go up. Now, this is not a trade I'd probably be too interested in because we're in balance. I feel like there's indecisiveness in our market. Okay. Not really a fan of that too much. The only other thing I'll show you is the bear trap trade. I think we can really, if we do push, and let's say it's quick off the open, and really establish like here, but then we quickly do this, that's a long as well. Like I said, the internals will drive that for me because if I'm looking at internals and I'm like, we're not that weak, we're just not, that's a long. And that's what balance makes you feel all the time. It always tricks you to think, oh my God, we're going to break out lower or we're going to break out higher. And it looks like it. And then it reverses back, right? It's very tricky sometimes to look at. So that's your long side. Your short side, oops, I think I got rid of something. No, I don't think so. So, short side, pretty easy. I'm going to wait until this edge is touched, right? Let's see we break the 89s, right? And depending on how the market, how it looks, the internals, we could tap this supply. What if we wick back and do a lower high? Guess what? And then the market's not very strong. We're going to get back into the mean, and we're going to work our way down to the other side. Now, I would rather be long in this area of balance than short, but it's viable. This is definitely something that, we're in balance until you're not. Okay. Now we're in that chop area. If we do this, right? What do you have to play for? We rip those singles out when we start to find acceptance down here. That could be the short, and we could revisit Monday's lows. But do I believe that happens? I don't know. The internals have to be pretty weak for me to be convinced of that. That's pretty much it, folks, for the ES. NASDAQ. Let's look at the NASDAQ together. All right. Also has a beautiful 2-day, like, look at that, these levels. My. Look at these levels. So anywhere from the 25338s to the 25347s. This supply. It's really the area you have to look at here. Down to, look at this. Oof. 25206s, the 4s. Just this area. And those single prints are underneath here. Okay. That's it. Most traded price of the week is 25320s right here. And that's kind of a nice area, because if they can't find acceptance over that area, we probably go back down. Okay, so very simple. It's very simple. We look at the bull side. Okay, we're here. So price is right here in the middle of horrible position. You got a demand zone here. So any pullbacks into this demand could be the buy, right? Now, if this is a pretty, we call the confluence low here, this could be a bear trap. There's single prints here, last week's highs right here. If we push back into these singles, do one of these and hold those weekly lows, that's all long. Targeting the other side of bounce. Now, of course, like I said, we can come up here, break through these 347s, pull back. If the market really starts to firm up, that could be the launch pad to all-time highs. That's your longs. Short side is, well, let's move up. Boom, boom, boom. Take out this level. We get a nasty wick, a lower high. The market's not that strong. We go through the most traded price of the week. That's going to retest that. That could be a nice short down to the bottom of bounce. Okay, that could be it. Now, if you take out the 206s, 204s to 206s, okay, you got single prints here. Last week's highs. Okay. With the market being very weak, the market has to be very weak to convince me. You could hold, and we go down and revisit Monday's lows. That's about all I could be really interested in. Okay, pretty easy today. So that's it. That's the analysis for today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that. Smash that like button if you did. That would help me out a lot. Now hopefully you join me every day, every morning. Be your morning cup of coffee with the market news, economic calendar, etc. Right? Give you the technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the Nasdaq and the ES futures. Okay, we have our plans, folks. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord, Confluence Trading. I give you live market updates, right? Videos, audio messages, give you my trades. I let you know what's going on in the market. I'm your best indicator. Trust me. Trust me. Like I said, outside of catalysts, what nobody knows, I'm pretty much going to always nail what the market's going to do. So use that to your advantage. Sign up. Okay, go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up, get the free indicator for the weekly expected move. I run it every week. Okay, and see what you see when those expected moves get hit. Don't let me tell you about it. You can see it. All right? You can see it. All right. Everybody, we got our plans. Have a great day. Now, no trade is a trade. Hopefully everybody stays green. Hopefully I get a trade where I don't get my break even hit today. That would be nice. All right? Now, everybody have a great day. And if I don't see you in my Discord, I'll see you guys tomorrow.